host, Aubrey Aloysius, co founder of LorraineMusicAcademy.com and a charter member of TIE. We have a very interesting session. This session is powered by LinkedIn, and we want to thank our platinum sponsors AWS and Sequoia Capital for their continued support. We thank DST and NetApp for their support too. Um, Friends, do spare some time to engage with our partners at the virtual exhibition booths. Please keep checking the broadcast messages for more details on offers and parallel sessions across halls. We have an exciting session now titled "Accelerate Growth with LinkedIn," and we have with us Ashutosh Gupta, India Country Manager, LinkedIn. Ashutosh is a veteran sales leader with nearly 2 decades of experience in the internet and IT and software services industries across firms such as Google, Cognizant, and Infosys. As LinkedIn's India country manager since September 2019, he is focused on the next wave of growth for business and in making LinkedIn an integral part of the country's national agenda in terms of jobs and upskilling of India's professional workforce. In addition to his role as country manager, Ashutosh continues to lead the LinkedIn Marketing Solutions online sales organization for Asia Pacific and China. Over to you, Ashutosh.
Good afternoon, everybody. Uh, my name is Ashutosh Gupta, and I'm country manager for LinkedIn India. It's a pleasure to be here today, first of all, and it's a pleasure to be connected with this community. What I'm going to do for next 30 minutes is share with you on how we can leverage LinkedIn to accelerate the growth and meet the goals which you have set out for your companies and startups. The topic is deep, so 30 minutes is going to be difficult, but I'm going to try. And at least my main objective is that if you walk away 2 or 3 things which can help you succeed, that'll be a win for the session. As well as we will follow up with more detailed master classes on this topic so that you can get into depth with us. So with that, let's get started. We, we are living in a very uncertain time. We are living in a moment which is like unlike anything we have seen in the past. Business leaders are rethinking their entire work models, cultures, and company values. At the same time, employees are what we call having COVID clarity, which means they are rethinking not just how they work, why they work, looking for opportunities that best match their needs. Essentially, what's happening is at the core of all this is the beginning of a new dynamic relationship between employers and employees, a time when everyone is rethinking everything, and we call it Great Reshuffle. It provides a bit of challenge, a bit of opportunity for all of us. But what the Great Reshuffle has done for us is it has not fundamentally changed what we are set out as a company to do. Our vision still remains where we are. We want to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. The keywords here are economic opportunity and the global workforce, right? So, our vision remains strong and as relevant as ever before. Now, how this vision has taken us across the globe, and we are present in 200 countries, 810 million members, 26 languages. In India, we have 85 million members. We're the second largest country by number of members in LinkedIn ecosystem. On platform we have English. We recently launched Hindi, right? So essentially, what's happening is this vision is manifesting in many different ways, and I want to share with you how this vision, this economic opportunity for all global workforce, how does it manifest, and that's something which we call as economic graph. Uh, Essentially, any graph is a connection point of two nodes, and these two nodes can be anything. It can be our 58 million company pages, 810 million members, 775 million job applicants, or 120K schools. It can be the connections which these members strike. It can be the contents they share. It can be the jobs they apply to. These are all economic opportunities being transacted. And when you visualize this as a graph, imagine all these transactions happening together. And that's what we call as economic graph. It's basically the flow of economic opportunities across all these nodes. This economic graph shows up very rich data and insights for us, and this data and insights are leveraged as a foundation for what I'm going to talk to you about, these three pillars today, which are essential to any startup, which is grow your brand, grow your revenues, grow your people. These are all very important pillars, and let's just focus in each one of them and learn more about it. And hopefully, there are a few tips which you can take from each one of them. When you say grow your brand, it's essentially the voice of the founder or the CEO, which is very very important. It's the company's identity, right? But let's start with your own professional brand or personal brand as a founder and CEO, and your voice matters. It's a very very important voice in anything you say. I think our data shows clearly that founders or CXOs or CEOs voice sets the tone of company's culture, the purpose of the brand. So it's very very important to be present, to share, and to make sure that the community hears from you as the leader of the company. Now, one of the things which always stays with me is what Jeff said. Jeff Wiener is our executive chairman at LinkedIn. He has a deep influence on everybody at LinkedIn, and personally me as well. His quote was, "As a leader, you have to believe in that vision with every fiber of your being. Then you have to effectively communicate that, whether it's through words or through deeds or ideally both." He was a big believer in shared vision, and that's the thing which I want to communicate with you, right? Like, it's good to have a vision, but if you can't communicate it effectively, it's no good, right? So it's very very important as a founder, as a CEOs, to communicate your vision very strongly. Now, let's think through how to communicate. And the numbers, by the way, show very clearly that, like, you look at the multiple once you content created by leaders, look at the number of impressions, look at the number of engagements, right? So it's very very important, and the numbers show that. Now let's learn very simple and easy to implement ways, so that you can just do that. Now, there are five things I'm going to talk about here, and hopefully if you can remember all five, that'll be a win. But if you can take away two or three things, that's going to be important. I'm going to deep dive in each of these five things individually. So let's start by talking about things that matter to you. It's very important to share stuff which you are passionate about, which you are energetic about, right? So sharing your thoughts and values are going to be very important for your followers, to get a good understanding of your leadership approach. It's a very important thing. And if you can remember two or three things as you start thinking about sharing your own values, the things which you are passionate about, that keep it short, keep it inspirational, to the point. Definitely have a picture in the post, and then if you can leverage video, it's going to be fantastic, because video is exploding like anything, right? So these are the five things. But remember, talk about things that you inspires you, talk about things that you are passionate about and energetic about. Now, the next thing which I'm going to share is like, I want each one of you to remember this. If you can walk away with this, it's going to be huge. Authenticity is the most important bit. Authentic leadership, it's always been important pre-pandemic, but in pandemic, it's become really the core of the leadership, right? So be authentic on what you are sharing with your audience. Engage in a conversation. It's just not about your own post. If you see somebody talking about something which you care about, comment on it. It's just not about liking. Comment in it, engage in a conversation, and engage with the community. As a founder, as a CEO, you can also activate creator mode on your profile, which will help you, engage with more people, and it will help your brand grow much faster. So remember, be authentic. The next thing which is very very important is, there's a huge debate always, what form of content works better, right? Is it a short post, is it a long post? But I think we have seen over the last few years specifically, video has exploded. Videos which are 30-second to 3 minute in the duration, they help you grab attention in the first 6 seconds. Lot of engagement on LinkedIn comes through mobile. People leverage their mobile to read posts or listen to the videos. And if you can add subtitles or graphics for sound of viewing, all of us do that, right? All of us see videos with the sound off, so those subtitles can help. So remember, if you can leverage video, short videos, short duration videos, it's going to be supremely helpful as well. Next thing is also about sharing the topics your audience cares about. I've talked about your own passion, being authentic, leveraging the right content form, but it's very important to talk about a topic which your audience cares about. I think LinkedIn has troves of data. If required, we can share with you, and if you need something, you can contact me. But we can share what content topics are pretty relevant on LinkedIn, and I think it's not a surprise. The five most things are listed on the slide. It's technology management, careers and employment, business management, right? So talk about things which your network, with the people you're connecting with, care about, so that you can strike a conversation, you can build a community around it, and then engage with those people, right? And lastly, feedback loop is the most important loop, right? I personally, whenever I share content on the platform, which I do pretty much every day, I go back and see how that content has performed. I check for, at the time when I shared, there are certain times that platform which really works better. But I check on the time, I check on the engagement, check on the conversations which are happening around it, right? So you have to check the activity, and the feedback loop is important so that you can optimize. So before we go to the next, remember the five things I have said. And if you want to take away two things, be passionate, be energetic, and be authentic. Those are the three things which are very, very important. And rest, I think, share as much, engage with the community. That will help build your brand, show yourself as a thought leader in the community. Now, we have talked about your personal brand, your voice, your story. Your company story is equally important, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about company story and how you can build it. This next slide, which I'm showing you, is an ISO, but there are some really key messages here. First of all, your identity, your company's identity on LinkedIn is the company page. The company page is a place where not only your prospects, your customers, your prospective employees will come. That's the first thing people check when you share anything leveraging your company. So even if you do an ad supposedly on LinkedIn, people first, when they see an ad, they first go to your company page to see what the company is about, right? So your company page is your identity, and it's very, very important to make sure that you build a good, robust, vibrant company page and keep it updated. Uh, there are many things which you can do organically through company page, right? You can build a follower ecosystem, you can get people on the company page, but organic things can take you so far. The next stage is very, very important, right? Growing and scaling beyond organic through the paid products. And as the slide shows some data, right? The reach increases tremendously once you start leveraging paid products. As well as we have seen that startups, once they move from the seed stage to the Series A stage, their use of brand campaigns, their use of paid products increases dramatically, right? So once again, remember, company page, build a good company page, build organic follower ecosystem, and then leverage paid to start scaling that up. Now, as you're doing this, this is, I don't want to each one of you read everything, but the key message here is there are so many different touch points through which your customers, prospects, and your prospective employees will have on the LinkedIn. They will check out an ad, they will watch a video which you have posted. Right? There's so many different places that this comes together. And the key message here is that whether organic or whether paid, you have to be consistent, and then you have to have an always on strategy so that you keep engaging with all those people. Remember, brand never sleeps. Like, it's not like people are not checking out what you are sharing, your company, at some point of the day. They are always there. So ensure that you keep an always on strategy so that your customer acquisition, your candidate acquisition all keeps working with your brand, right? So the key message here is stay consistent and make sure that you have an always and on strategy. Now, I think it's this slide I would like to stay a few minutes. It's important. It's important to know that the brand has multi dimensions. There are three key dimensions which LinkedIn, you can leverage LinkedIn to really focus on the brand. One is a corporate brand. which is for influencers and investors, then talent brand for employee and candidates, and the consumer brand for customers and partners. Right now, in the middle of all of this is the brand DNA, which is the truly the brand ethos, right? So it's a very, very important to stay consistent across all three of them. You can't have different voices in each of these dimensions. You are sharing something as a talent brand and you are sharing very different stuff as a consumer brand. You have to stay consistent. You have to stay unified across all these three brands. And as the next slide will show you, this unified brand strategy really helps because it's showing up in your ROI, it's showing up in the numbers. For example, 84% lift in content engagement, a 35% increase in sales growth over 5 years. All right. So, unified brand is the most important thing. Be consistent across your brand. Um, uh, Keep it always on, and then make sure that you are covering all the three dimensions of business, talent, and marketing as you're thinking about your brand, right? So, now we have talked about building your brand, your company's brand. Now let's come to the business end of it, which I'm sure all of you care a lot about, which is grow your revenues. It's very, very important to start growing your revenues. And they're the blockers of the sales. You all know about it, but I'm just going to take a couple of them. Right? Not understanding companies, a buyer's company and business needs is the topmost deal killer. As I've spent all of my life in sales, it's the most important thing to understand your buyer. 85% of sellers say they lost or delayed a deal because a decision maker changed jobs. It's happening so much in current times, right? So these are the blockers of the sale for the sales, but how can you overcome them? And again, uh, you know, 5 things which I'm going to talk about. Become a buyer first seller, deliver value before capturing. At LinkedIn, we are true believers. Customer value is the most important thing. If you convert your if you want to convert your prospect as a long time customer, deliver value, deliver customer value. Next is multi-threading is more important than ever. I have seen sales deals in last 2 years gone south because the customer which with you, the stakeholder with which whom you were engaging, left the company. And what many startups realize that they had only one touch point in that account. And that's where the multi-threading is very, very important. Our data very clearly shows that at least having relationship with 4 people in account increases your chance manyfold of winning that deal. In the great reshuffle, a job switch can be your way in. There's a talent movement happening in not only in your companies, in the customer's company, in the customer accounts as well. So a customer champion leaving from your one account to another company can help you if you know that which account he has gone to, because he's your champion. He will still continue championing you. Next is always invest in your people, right? This is so important, and we're going to talk about it in the later in the presentation. Once your salespeople leave, once they take up another job, the sales productivity loss is very high. So continue investing in your sales teams, continue investing in this development. And last thing, data accuracy is so important in this stage. Inaccurate CRM data was always a top challenge, but with increasing rate of change, CRMs can potentially become a mess. So it's very important to keep your data sanctity in place and make sure that your sales data, and especially the connection with the CRM, with all the sales intelligence tools you have, stays sacrosanct and the data accuracy is high, right? So it's important to foster sales and make sure that you adapt some of these best practices at the right time. Now, while you have got your sales machinery or well oiled, marketing also needs to gear up for the growth. And as our research shows, 39% of seed startups have at least one lead gen campaign. 80% of Series A startups prioritize lead gen campaigns. What essentially it means is that as you are getting your sales strategy in place, start firing up your marketing cylinders as well, so that you can continue building your brand and continue firing up your pipeline as well. So now it's very important to reunite your offline and online alignment as well, right? So it's important that you use sales intelligence. You use the right CRM, you use the right tools to both plan your territories, prospect in the right set of accounts, and then empower the org with a single reliable data, right? So all of this is connected. You can't just treat one thing. That all has to work together for you to really win this battle. Now, so as you are doing this, one of the biggest challenges which I hear, and I don't know in last 20 years how many times I had this conversation, uh, is the great conundrum of brand versus activation, which is another way to say brand versus performance. It's a constant struggle in the marketing world, and most of the times the founders and CMOs are always balancing this, saying should we focus more on the brand or should we focus more on the activation and the demand side. And I don't think so there is one answer here, as my next slide will show you that there is evidence that as the growth picks up, brand and performance work together, they work in tandem. I have talked to so many companies over last few years where they have been very much focused on the lower funnel, very much focused on the performance side of the business, but they're not getting the numbers they want because many people don't know what they do. Their brand is not that strong. Remember the funnel, you have to feed the funnel from the top so that you can get results at the bottom, right? And a lot of people forget that. So to accelerate your business growth, you have to continue balancing this well. And remember that if you follow that strategy of balancing brand and activation, it helps on one other thing which is so important, which is the pricing part, right? So we have seen that brands, the companies which build strong brands, which have strong brands, they can command, they have more control on their pricing as compared to other companies which don't have a strong brand, right? So it's very, very important to strike the right balance. Don't get overtly focused on the lower funnel very early on. I know it is important to get the sales numbers going, but please balance it with by building the brand as well, which will pay you in the long run. And the last thing is this, sorry Mega, go back one slide more, I want to go back. So last thing is investing in short and long term tactics is critical for both B2B and B2C companies. These are some numbers. These are uh, we have done some research on that, and it's very clearly shows that B2C and B2B uh, have their own ways to mix it up, brand versus demand. But essentially both of these set of companies have to focus on both. It's not given that one of them can give up on completely on brand and just focus on activation, right? So sometimes B2B people say it's 50-50 rule, B2C 60% brand, 40% activation. You will figure out what's the right for your own company based on the balance, but it's important to focus on both sides. That's a key message which I want to make sure that all of you get from this last few minutes. So we have talked about growing your brand, growing your revenue. Now comes the most important part, the biggest asset which you will have as a startup, which is your people, right? Between digitization and pandemic, we are in kind of in the middle of a double disruption that is accelerating the need for skill building. And that's where I want to focus few minutes with you, right? As I said earlier, there's a little bit of unraveling happening in the minds of people. How we work, where we work, why we work, these questions have become so much important that if you don't address those things, if you don't talk about these things as a talent brand, you will find it difficult to both retain and attract talent, right? So let's look at a little more about each one of this. The essential message we are hearing is that it's humans first, employees second. The amount of focus companies have these days on well-being of the companies, on just overall development of the people is so important, right? And that's where it's not about treating my own teammate or my co-mate as an employee. It's about a human, right? Literally all calls today, I'm sure all of you are doing it, starts with asking how you're doing, and the well-being feature is a very, very important part of the company, right? So people want to be seen first as human beings and employees as second. Now there are two things which are happening in the people world, in the talent brand, which I'm sure all of you have experienced, but I again want to make sure that you capture that for your individual companies. Flexibility is super important. Literally, we have seen interviews start where people used to ask about compensation and the role. The first question I hear these days is, "What is your company's flexible policy?" Right? People want good work-life balance. They want, of course, they want compensation and benefits. But look at the work-life balance number, which is shown on the slide. India is actually much higher than the global, right? So it's really important for the people People are really focused on the purpose of life as well as the companies they work on, and they want that flexibility, which is super important. Remote jobs are for real. It's not a myth. It's really, really for real. I know as pandemic is slowing down, people are like, oh, let's get our people to offices, but remote jobs are still in the forefront, and a lot of people are looking for remote jobs. So flexibility and remote jobs are important, and adopting a people first approach is the most important thing. Look at that 29% stat on the slide. It's a change in member skills in India for the same occupation from 2015 to 2021. 40%, 48% of employee skills will change completely by 2025. Look at the churn which is happening on the skill side. The skill which were relevant in 2015 are no longer relevant in 2021, and will no longer be relevant in 2025. So it's important that we take the people first approach, and it's showing up on the platform. Look at the amount of time spent on LinkedIn Learning. It's 3x literally in last 2 years. And reskilling and upskilling has become the number one L&D priority for all organizations, right? So three key messages: invest in learning and development, invest in personalized learning. It's very, very important. Even if you hire a person today for your startup, which is his first day, his or her first day, they still want to talk about their development. They still want to continuously focus on learning. So make sure that you have a good L&D system where personalized learning is happening for employees. Give employees time, learning time, and recognition. At LinkedIn, we have separate days where people just focus on learning, and that helps them. That helps them stay more motivated and inspired, so that they can continue learning. And then enable community-based learning. I've seen so much. I've seen so many people come together and learn together. It started in the pandemic, or it didn't start in pandemic, but it picked up speed in pandemic, when a lot of people came together and started learning, and it still continues, right? In the hybrid world where some people are remote and some are in the office, community-based learning is still going on very, very strong, right? So these are the three messages on the people side. And the one big message is investing in your employees is not it's not a waste investment. It's investment in your business. If people have lower burnout, people will have lower attrition, and then you will have higher profit, right? So that's the value you're gonna get if you invest in employees, in their development. So once again, on this section, I want to reiterate this message again: human beings first, employees second. It's a watershed moment for culture, for companies culture. A company is a collection of individuals, and a change in employee needs, like we have seen on account of COVID clarity, impacts organization culture. So keep your organization culture strong, keep focusing on people's development. So again, few more human centered company culture tips is flexibility, trust, belonging, well-being. I think with the talent reshuffle, what's happening is there's so much talent churn and people are changing jobs. When they come to a new company, a lot of employees don't feel part of the company. They don't feel belonged, right? They don't feel the inclusion, right? So make sure that you have good, strong belonging practices, you have strong inclusion practices. And I think we have put well-being at number 5. It should be number 1. Ensure that you're keeping well-being in the top of your priorities. So I said a lot of things in last, I don't know, like 25-30 minutes. This next slide is again kind of a summary of everything I have talked about. There's more to it. It's very much focused on LinkedIn. But the big thing we talked about is growing your brand, growing your revenue, and growing your people. And there, I talked of many LinkedIn specific stuff, which I couldn't go in detail because of the shortage of time. We will follow it up with a detailed session later. We are planning some master classes. We talk individually of how we can deep dive into each of these products. But essentially, I hope as you start your startup journey, or as you continue the startup journney, all of you, leverage some a bit of the thoughts which I shared today to accelerate your growth and get to the goals you have set out for your own company. So thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure to connect with you, and you know where to find me. I'm there on LinkedIn. If there are questions, if there are things which you want to chat further, reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to have a conversation with you. So thank you, and have a good rest of the day, and good seeing all of you.